Hello and welcome to another Wraggy's, a beer with Wraggy rather. Tonight's topic of conversation for me is our supermarket beers going downhill. The cost of living crisis, duty on beer, seems to be forcing breweries, not all breweries, but seems to be forcing some breweries to lower their way of making beer, dropping the ABV, but also using sugar and glucose instead of malt, instead of the traditional ways of doing beer. And whilst homebrewers can cheat and do that, homebrewers generally have only got themselves to drink the beer, and it's up to them if they like it or not. Taste a bit of sugar in a homebrew beer. It's my beer, who cares? But when it's a commercial beer, and when you're used to a beer being of a certain quality, there is that worry. Now, when we look at beers across the UK, and let's look at some of the big brand beers in the UK, and we look at Doombar. Doombar is one of the biggest selling cask beers, or keg beers as well, rather, in the UK. My workplace sell it, yeah. Everyone's asking for Doombar, are they? Hey, fuck. Pardon my French. But yeah, Doombar is not the beer it was when it was first brewed years and years ago. Now it's mass produced. It is not the same beer. Sadly, the Bombardier beers used to be called Bombardier and Bombardier Burning Gold. Now it's called Bombardier Amber and Bombardier Gold. And and again, Bombardier is another beer that's sadly not the beer it used to be. Abbott Ale, second best beer in the UK on cask. them judges, if I was a judge in London, I'd say to the lads the people who did the judging, it says, were you pissed on the day? Or was there a bit of that bit of money going, yeah, I'll get you some free beer tokens. But you never know, do you? You never know. I mean, one never knows. Or it could have been the best cask of Abbott Ale that's been produced. Breweries aren't daft. When there's a judging process going on, you watch how good the beer is. The original recipe comes out. There's no fucking about. It's all done to perfection for the judging. I'd love to see that judging beer against a standard pint cask in a pub, in some random pub. That would be supremely interesting. But anyway, it's about supermarket beers, nothing to do with the dodgy judging at Great British Beer Festival. But anyway, nonetheless. Then recently, I've reviewed beers. I reviewed 1698, which I absolutely... Now, you may think that I'm having a bit of a bitch about supermarket beers, but the fact of the matter is that I've drank a hell of a lot of supermarket beers in 13 years of not doing beer reviews, but actually drinking the bloody stuff. And 13 years, 5 years of that working in Sainsbury's on the beers, wines and spirits department. And fantastic time. People come into the shop, I could tell them what every beer tasted like. Someone says to me, I'm after this sort of beer. I say, well, I'll take to that beer. But, Then somebody comes on the aisle asking for milk, and I says, it's not on this aisle. You see where down there where the fridges are? There's the milk. Yeah, daft cunt. Fuck off. Didn't say that, obviously, because you're a nice person, but there's limits. There are limits. Excuse me, can you tell me where the crisps are? Not on this aisle, Duck. No. Did you read the thing above you that says wine? And that next door, crisps. I mean, fucking hell. Hey, pardon my French anyway. Do apologise. Swearing. It's not good. I do actually want to get away from swearing. But, you know, sometimes you just have to, don't you? But in any case, 1698, I reviewed it only a few weeks ago, and I could taste glucose. I could taste sugar. Flipping sugar. Shepherd and Neame, I love their brewery. You know, I'm not like some people out there who've got an evil thing about certain breweries. Pour beers down the sink to get YouTube hits, you know. And then if that certain brewery came to them, offered them a bit of money, they'd be, oh, best beer in the world. But you know, I do like Shepherd and Neame beers. We sold a lot in my Sainsbury's days. Spitfire, bloody hell. We used to sell pallets of that. When it went down to £1, whoa, pallets. But 1698 recently was absolutely, I could really taste the sugar. For a beer that was my best supermarket beer in a beer versus beer setting against Abbott Reserve, against King Goblin, and it was, I'm not sure which one was the fourth. Was it Broadside or was it, I'm not sure now, not 100%. But anyway, 4 fantastic beers, and yes, sadly, it's not anymore. No. I will re-review beers. I'm going to start re-reviewing supermarket beers. And I've heard things not only about Shepherd and Neame, but I've heard things about Fuller's beers. And it saddens me that 2 great breweries, just to keep their beers in supermarkets. I understand the reasons why. I do. I understand dropping ABV. I understand the using of cheaper ingredients, but if you're going to change any method to do your beer, then you need to make sure that no one can taste those methods. Last night, I reviewed Bishop's Finger, and I could taste glucose. Whether I have this thing where I can taste sugar very easily, and yes, I'm going to point out a review that somebody did, a good friend, a good pal. Well, not a pal, but a fellow beer reviewer in Wales who reviewed Vocation's Imperial Banana. Poured it down the sink, saying it tasted the sugar. I didn't taste no sugar in that yof. Not at all. But I certainly did in 1698 and Bishop's Finger. And like I say, it's not a bitch war, but if you can taste something, you can taste something. And I do feel that we're on that point where supermarket beers, and certainly not all breweries, but certainly some breweries, are cost cutting. And I get it. I get the cost cutting because everything's gone up. Production cost, malt, barley, electricity. Supermarkets are greedy bleeders. We know that. The government's putting the duty up because they're trying to care for the population. Oh yes, but in their bars at Westminster, they still get free stuff or super bloody cheap, whatever it is. And do we trust MPs? No, we don't trust any of them. Not one single party is trustworthy. No, they're all absolute crooks, the lot of them. Conservatives, we need rid of Conservatives because they're just a bunch of lies who look after the rich. But then we don't want people that come in that, you know, I mean, the people that pay the taxes in this country, the real people that pay the taxes, and I'm on about the working population, not the rich who fiddle the taxes, you know. There's too much of that going on for the rich. Oh, I scribble my money abroad. Yeah. Well, fuck off abroad then. Yeah. Take yourself and go. Leave this country. Don't ever come back. Yeah. Because you're part of the problem. But anyway, little side moan there, you know. But yeah, I do feel that the quality of beer in supermarkets is on a downward spiral. The biggest brands, especially. Look at Newcastle Brown. Oh my gosh, it's a woeful beer. And apparently parts of the world absolutely love that beer. Don't ask which parts of the world, because I'd love these breweries to brew the beer that they brewed originally and brew the 2023 version. Put a taste test. And this is an open invitation to any of those big breweries in the UK to give me 2 bottles, an original version, 2023 supermarket version, and say to me that those beers are not downgraded either through using crap water. Water is the biggest ingredient in beer. Let's not forget that. You can't change Doom Bar from being from Cornwall water to Burton-on-Trent. And not only the fact that it used to have more hops back in the day. We know this. You know, it's out there in the public domain. But yeah, supermarket beers. And the worrying thing is that supermarkets, for most of us in this world, those of us who aren't rich or get lots of freebie beers, is the main area for people to try beer, apart from pubs, obviously. And it's the main area for people to experience beer, to jump into the world of beer, apart from pubs, obviously. And it's frightening. It's frightening when beer gets degraded, and it is really frightening when you can taste sugar in a commercial beer, or glucose, you know, as they call it. Two Shepherd Neame beers on a row, I've tasted glucose. And whether I can taste glucose super easy, or I don't know what's going off there. But and I have no issues with Shepherd and Neame. I absolutely love the brewery. Their Christmas ale, I would absolutely die to get a bloody bottle of that. Maybe not from this year, though, an older year. But it does worry me that this is a real downward trend in the beer sector, and a frightening downward trend as well. You know, like I say, change ingredients all you must, but the beer's got to taste the same, surely. I've spoke to local breweries, and they know, and they told me, says people will say to us, if we mess up brewing a beer, the people that drink the beer know straight away, well, that's not the same beer. What's this? Not the same. They'll hand it back and say, I don't want that. It's not it. And there's the thing, you know, the real drinkers know. And like I say, if you've drank a supermarket beer over the years, and I've drank enough of certain types of beer, I've drank enough. Don't drink it day in, day out, or week in, week out, but I've drank it enough to know that the quality of beer is downhill. It's a worrying trajectory. So what do you think? Right or wrong? Hey, I've rang the bell. Accidentally, of course. But over to you, the beer public. It's going to be an interesting conversation. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fair play, you know. But in a lot of this, I don't think I am, you know. I think it is worrying. I've got a right blister on my bloody finger, on my hand, right in the middle, and it's sore as hell. But anyway, thank you for watching. See you soon. Cheers, man.